Remember to smile. Life is a road and we gather.
My name is Colm McIntyre. I'm a musician from Belfast, and I'm here because I've recorded a new record called American Dream. Where did I get the idea for doing this record, American Dream? Well, my last record that I recorded was in 2018, a record called Redemption, and I put so much into that. We did that release, really enjoyed the process, and then I didn't write anything for a while. I didn't write anything. And then I went to visit my cousin in America now, to go back to when I was a kid, when I was younger. Because of where I lived and because of the context of Belfast at that time, we still had army on the street. So sometimes it was safe to go out, and other times you would have stayed more in the house. Plus, things like the weather as well. It rains a lot in Ireland. And because of that, you'd sit in the house and you'd watch television or you'd watch movies. And at that time, where did the best movies or television come from? America. Plus, because of the history of Ireland, I'm not going to go into a history lesson here. However, there's a lot of Irish people immigrated to America. So there's a big connection between Irish and America. And a lot of people say that Irish helped build America. And so I had never been. And so when I was younger, watching all these movies and seeing, stuff from Universal Studios or Warner Brothers and all these things, I was like, wow, America looks like the place to be, especially New York City. And so I took some time, saved up some money, and I took my first flight. And the first ever place I landed to in the States was JFK in New York. And when I got there, it was everything that I thought it was going to be growing up. It was everything. It was America. It was big. It was in your face. It had a lot of energy. And that stayed with me. And I sat with that energy for a while before starting to write something new. And so the idea behind the record was, can I write something that is relevant to everybody in 2020, which is when I started writing the record, when COVID hit. And so I started thinking about this idea of a dream and what is a dream. To me, a dream is something that it's maybe not in your life right now. However, it's something that you aspire toward. And the term American dream, well, that was coined for people that wanted to go for the ideals that America stood for back then. Hope, freedom, opportunity, home of the brave, land of the free, all that stuff. And so this idea came to me, well, isn't that what everybody wants? Regardless of where you go? Doesn't everybody want that in some way? So the term American dream became almost a metaphor for people chasing what it is they really want. And it's not about a place, although it was coupled with the fact that I had taken trips to America and I had experienced it firsthand. Opportunity shouldn't just be for one country. It should be for everybody. And so I wanted to encapsulate that idea into a song. And it was a big undertaking. It took a long time to start writing this record. A lot of edits and a lot of things because when I write music, I like to write from a place of putting myself in other people's position. So it wasn't about my American dream, although I did go to America and that helped inspire it. It was about everybody else's. I went to New Orleans. Played in Nashville. I'm learning about the history of rock and roll and learning about how music started in tiny recording studios with one microphone in a room, and how that music, it just spread around the country. It infected the whole nation at a time, a very conservative nation. Listening to African American music, white kids dancing to African American music, it was a big no-no. And seeing that, being in those places, being in those clubs, being in that culture, however, it didn't really hit home until I hit Chicago. Because during the Great Migration, where all these slaves in the South were free and there was no opportunity. There was a lot of racism, Jim Crow laws. They all just had enough. They packed up their bags and they moved and they migrated north. And they would have went everywhere, Mid-East, Midwest. A lot of them migrated in Chicago, which is the home of the blues. And what was that? That was all the blues music that they played. Their grandmothers played, their grandfathers, their grandmothers when they were slaves on a farm. And they used to sing this music and it was in them. It was in those people. And suddenly they were free. So they moved to Chicago. Next thing, instead of playing in tiny halls, they're playing big rooms. So what they need? Amplification. Amplifiers, microphones. And suddenly this thing just took off. And when I got to Chicago, and I seen like the Chicago River and the buildings, the skyscrapers, and being around that music, it just really hit home. Like this, I was where it started. I stood at the Mississippi River. I stood on the spot where the first ships arrived to bring in these people that had just been taken against their will, shoved onto a boat and told that they're being brought to America. That's what stuck with me. People talk about, you don't want people getting too woke these days or whatever that means. It's like that you got to be careful of that energy. You need to be careful because some of those people are the people that they'd have those people back in chains in a second. In a second. I was there. I witnessed it. I spoke to a few of them. And so that's what stuck with me. Is like that music that I'm playing, a guy from Belfast, across the water, across the ocean, that music that I'm playing started coming up from Africa, down the Mississippi River and in New Orleans. And I'm playing it in Ireland 30, 40 years later. That's what stuck with me.
Hope sang through the trees, fire moved through the breeze. Light shows you lessons that you can't believe, that there's no heroes left on this island.
How did I prepare for the record? Well, everything had to be different for this record. It couldn't just be the same, because one of the things that I realized with COVID was that the world is a lot bigger than you think. And what I mean by that is there were so many people and working with artists from around the world or musicians from around the world. People were connected in a way that they never were before, because you had musicians playing Facebook Lives or live on the internet to showcase their talent, and people from around the world would tune in and help support them. And that, I find that the way I usually approach the record was I would write something, I would work with a team of musicians, really great musicians, the best that I could find, and we would collaborate to do something to serve the songs. What I found to prepare for this record, there was actually one point that I realized that I was stuck in that. I was stuck in that identity of, okay, I'm from Belfast and I'm from Ireland, and therefore this has to be done like this because this is how I've always done it. COVID changed all that. I wasn't limited to just working with the same musicians. They were great musicians. Actually, I probably would have worked with a lot of them, except the schedules meant they weren't available. And that gave me an opportunity. So everybody on this record except me are from America. They live in America. So they're the best musicians. So like the bass player went to Berkeley. The drummer is from Austin, Texas, a fantastic, amazing drummer. Same with the keyboard player from New Jersey. And to then prepare for myself, it's like, okay, well, not only am I going to write the songs here, I'm going to do all the guitar work. And so then it was about researching sounds, finding the right tone to express what I wanted to say. And so how did I prepare? I spent hours listening to new things, writing new things. The biggest shift though was that shift in identity, because I'm not just a guy from Belfast that has to do things this way. There are infinite possibilities out there. And this record really opened my eyes to that. And that was probably one of the most exciting experiences along the way of making it. What does this record mean to me? For me, it's about leveling up. You know, I'd spent a long time. I spent my teenage years in music studios. I spent my childhood writing. I learned to sing quite young, and then it was putting it all together as time moved on. And if I look back to 5 years ago when I started to now, I'm a different person. I'm a different musician. I'm a different singer. I'm a different songwriter. And it's not because I'm necessarily better. It's just I have more experience because I've done it more. And so what this record means to me is an opportunity to really showcase and show what I've done and how I've grown. And I've really put a lot into the groundwork of, I didn't want to just sing about America, having never experienced it. I traveled all around the place and I traveled by myself. And so I wanted to get that experience. I wanted to be in with the people. And when I went to America, actually, one of the things that I would do is no matter who I was talking to, I would find a way to, if the conversation was flowing well, slip in, you know, do you believe the American dream still exists? Because I wanted to hear from second generation Italian, third generation, you know, fourth generation. I spoke to everybody from students right through to pensioners, and they all had different answers. And so I took all that with me, brought it back, and then it was just about, well, how can I present this? So what this record means to me is an opportunity for me to be more than what I was last time. What is my creative process? Well, it's never the same. It's never the same for every song. However, there's a pattern, and a pattern to the way that I do things. Usually it starts with a hook or a line, or I'll read something or I'll see something that'll inspire me. So I do my best to be inspired. So I'll listen to new music, I'll go to concerts, I'll watch movies, I'll read books, and maybe one line will inspire me, it'll spark off an idea. When I get that idea, it might just sit there in the subconscious for a while, and then I'll hear a hook or I'll hear a melody. And personally for me, what I do is I record it. You know, I have everybody's got a phone these days. I record that hook, and that'll just sit there for a while. I'm a big picture kind of guy, and what I mean by that is I always think of where do I see this going, and I start from there and work my way back. So if I have a big idea, I'll take the big idea and I'll cut it back and I'll start filling out the story. And some of the best songs, in my opinion, that I've written, most of my songs aren't about me. I'd say 99% of them aren't about me. One of my things that I believe I'm good at is I'm quite empathetic, and I'm good at putting myself in other people's shoes. And so what I'll do is, if I hear a story, and a lot of my songs have come from this, someone will tell me a story and I'll put myself in, I wonder what that would have felt like for them. And so I'll sit down and maybe I'll have the hook or maybe I'll have the line, and I'll think about, if I was that person, how would I feel? Or if that happened to me, what would I think about that? And I'll just keep writing, and I won't stop writing until I've got something finished, and then I'll edit it back. And obviously things like, you know, lyrics, and you want it to flow a certain way, I don't worry about any of that at the start. I just write everything down like a brain dump, get it onto a page, sit with a guitar, and then maybe strum a few chords until it becomes something. If you have an idea, or if, as cliched as it might sound, if you have a dream, you have something that you want to do, it's possible. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be challenges. I fully believe that for the world to be at its best, people need to be at their best. And creating something, even if it's a song, a poem, a story, a movie, that endeavor, even by taking the step to do that, it challenges you. And if it challenges you, it helps you grow.
I remember where this all began. Sister, you are one with me.
After American Dream, there will be another record, for sure. And I already know what it is. I've already started thinking about it, and I've already got a name for it. And that's all I'm going to say right now. I'm putting on a big show. I will definitely put on a big show and big performances because I want to entice people back. You want people to come back because music, live concerts, it brings people together.